let's kind of tackle some of the obviously Kirk Campbell and Wink Martindale
Yeah.
being
So how
the
about this, John?
yeah,
How about this?
go
So
for it.
chat, play the game with us. We're gonna go one by
Yeah.
one here. We're gonna go one by one. We're gonna go Kirk Campbell. You guys let us know in the chat. Do you think Kirk Campbell should stay or should he go? I'll give my take on it right here. In my opinion, John, this is a very critical position where we need to definitely look for a new addition. We 100% need a new offensive coordinator, and I fully expect the way the quarterback recruitments are going, the way they want to attack the portal, whether they swing or miss on Underwood, which we'll get into that in the recruiting segment on where that stands and where that's trending. But I fully anticipate that they will hire a very competent, strategically sound offensive coordinator this offseason. Because again, like I've stressed, Sharon Moore knows how critical next season is for his future. So he can go. Which would say you, John?
Yeah, so I like Detroit Kyle's stance here. Kirk needs to be a QB coach, but not OC. I think that's great. I think that's a great take. Yeah, I mean, I think he did pretty well in 23 as quarterbacks coach. He also clearly turned around the Jaden Davis recruitment, which Matt Weiss was trying. He was doing his damnedest to bungle that, apparently. So from a recruiting perspective, I'd like him to stay. And also, I think he did well coaching the quarterback's room, and even JJ. And like, let's face it, JJ was extremely talented no matter what. But I saw that in certain aspects, like from 22 to 23, he was improving in some of his fundamentals, which really came in handy when he then went 10th overall in the draft. So I like Kirk for quarterbacks coach. I think they need to go out. Clearly, Joe Sloan is probably not going to be an option anymore. It sounds like he's going to be a head coach, and we're going to get to that in the recruiting segment. But he was one of my picks. He seems like he's not on the table right now. But yeah, I'm definitely going to say Kirk needs to go for OC.
Absolutely. I agree. All right. So it seems like the chat is in agreement with us. Let's move to Wink Martindale here, John. So all right, chat, let us know. How much do you guys love Wink Martindale? I'm sure you guys are gigantic fans of Wink Martindale. Love to hear it. I'll give my take on it here. In my opinion, John, Wink Martindale also can go. I know now I do think he should go. My concern is, does this contract limit him from being let go? I'm not quite sure if Michigan is willing to be this aggressive, but I'll tell you what, if they let Wink go, then you know how serious they are, because he's one of the highest paid defensive coordinators in college football right now. But in my opinion, if they really want the true success that I know they want to achieve, I don't think he is a part of that formula. I think they need a new defensive coordinator who's far more modern in the sense of today's college game, or even not even today's college game. Potentially, we do have we have 3 coaching trees in the NFL right now. Who's the next up and comer who wants to be a defensive coordinator? We are a farm system. We've been used as a farm system before for coaches. I don't see why that would not continue. I'd be curious to see if they find the next up and comer who would be good for Michigan. We definitely, in my opinion, we can go. What about you, John?
He can go. I think what he's done with the amount of talent on that defense, I think it's a lot worse than Kirk Campbell's situation, because at the very least, Kirk Campbell basically has one NFL caliber weapon right now, which is Colston Loveland. That's basically it. And so when you look at the defense, there's first rounders all over that field. And I've even I focus on offense, and I'll admit that defense is not my strongest knowledge base. But even I can see Mason Graham's out of position. Even I can see Ernest Hausman's out of position. Even I can see that that the defense isn't gelling the way that it needs to. Did I see things I liked versus Oregon? Yes. Has the defense kept Michigan in a lot of games that really that otherwise would have been complete blowouts? Yes. But is that just talent, or is that Wink? And my argument is it's talent very heavily. And I think Wink was a great decision among a bunch of not great options. But when you have the full offseason to go get somebody like Jim Leonard, who I floated as my candidate for defensive coordinator, because he knows how to run a tough physical Big Ten defense. He's done it at Wisconsin. I think he can do it again at Michigan. But there are others out there, and I just think Wink is he needs to go off into the rocking chair, go to the beach, have a pina colada, just sit back, enjoy your life, man. You had a great coaching journey. Maybe go be an advisor somewhere. Hey, go hang out at the Ravens again. Be an advisor. Go, whatever you want to do, but not at Michigan.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. All right, I guess we'll stay on the offensive side of the ball here, John, and we'll go with the running backs coach, Tony Alford. So Tony Alford here, John, in my opinion, has actually done a decent job. We've had Khalil Mullins actually thrive, although we've seen some regression the last 2 years. Or I'm so sorry, the last 2 games. Donovan Edwards has been frustrating and inconsistent, which has kind of been Donovan Edwards' track record, right? So, in my opinion, I think what we need to do is keep Tony Alford for another season. I think he has done it. Plus, he's shown to be a very strong recruiter. So, Chad, I'm very curious to know, who do you think? Do you think Tony Alford should stay or should he go? And John, what is your take on that?
Yeah. So first, thanks to Nuber for the $1.99. Wink better update his LinkedIn profile. Damn right. I actually like Scumbag Steve, what he said. Alford can stay for now. I agree.
Yeah, 1 more year.
1 more year. I don't think that the issues are as much his fault as others in the program. So I'm going to say he can stay. With that said, we've got here's one I think we're going to have a lot of consensus on. Ron Bellamy, offensive pass game coordinator, alleged wide receivers coach. What do we think about Ron Bellamy, TJ?
He can go.
Yeah, get out.
I don't think there's anything needs to be said other than trash, garbage, not good enough. I appreciate you for being a Michigan alum and former player, and thank you for helping us land Donovan Edwards, even though it hasn't been, but we shout out to Donovan Edwards. It is love, but like at the same time, like he's just not doing it. Wide receiver, what wide receivers progress? None. So I'm on the let's move on from Ron Bellamy train. Hopefully we can get a very competent wide receiver coach who's an excellent recruiter. Even though the recruiting class could potentially be really great in the wide receiver room, but still at the same time, he can go.
Agreed. How about JB Brown? Special teams seem to take a bit of an improvement in some areas last week, but overall it's been really rough. Punting's been bad. Things have just overall not been great. But there were a few decent moments, I thought, against Oregon. But what do you think about JB Brown?
JB Brown can get the F out. Get out of here, bro. Special teams are garbo. Your coaching's garbo. You're supposed to be also the safeties coach. That's one of the weaker points of this defense.
Garbo.
Goodbye. Adios. Get out of here. I'm sorry, sir. Good luck at your next stop, though. We wish you and your family the best, but you can go.
It's
Tommy Doman's a liability, John. Zavada's the only thing that makes JB Brown even look okay. And
that's what's
JB Brown. It's Zavada. He was great at Arkansas State. It doesn't matter. He's guarded.
Yeah. Zavada's what's kind of making me no. I'm gonna say he can go, but I mean it is interesting because you've got obviously you had Jay Harbaugh do it. There's been some really good special teams coaching until this year, and so JB Brown not doing very well, it definitely sticks out like a sore thumb. So I'm gonna say fire JB Brown.
Yeah, goodbye.
Bye. All right.
So we got Steve Kasula.
Steve Kasula for tight ends.
Absolutely one of the brightest spots, no question, in terms of performance, production, as well as continued development. We've even seen some Marlon Klein, some bright spots there. Recruiting's been well, in my opinion, John, no doubt at all. And let us know in the chat, guys, where you are with Steve Kasula. but I think he can stay. He's definitely has a future here, in my opinion, at least for another season.
Yep, this one's obvious. Keep him. In fact, I actually, rip stars in the house. I don't hate this idea of I wonder how. I don't really
I wouldn't do
know.
that.
I don't really
You can
know
do better.
how much of the passing, like receiving, he's teaching versus Bellamy when it comes to Colston Loveland specifically. I don't know what the division is there. But I definitely say keep him for tight ends. Definitely.
100% keep him for tight ends. I think we can do better at wide receiver. I wouldn't put him to wide receiver.
BJM. Brian Jean Marie had we've not been high on him, but in recent weeks things have looked a little bit brighter at this position. What do we think about BJM?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I was frustrated with Brian Jean Marie, especially the way the linebacker recruiting's been going and on the field play has been going with Houseman regressing and Barham looking lost. Last few weeks, though, holy cow, these linebackers are playing at like all Big Ten level. I'm impressed with Barham. I'm impressed with Houseman. And the linebacker recruiting has really picked up. I'm looking forward to talking about some of these linebacker prospects in the recruiting segment. No doubt, in my opinion, Brian Jean Marie has earned himself another year.
Yeah, I'm at first, like if you ask me beginning of the season or early in the season, but linebackers are one of the few position groups doing that I think have improved. So I say keep. Lamar Morgan, who coaches the D backs and defensive pass game coordinator.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is an interesting one because has the position played well? No, it hasn't. But has Jair Hill improved as the year has progressed? Absolutely has. But what else is Lamar Morgan bringing to the table? He is currently building the best defensive back recruiting class Michigan has ever had in the history of Michigan football. You have Ivan Taylor, you have Kainoa Winston, you have uh, Shamari Earls, and you have my other guy, Jaden Sanders at corner, and they're currently in a position to also land Littleton, a top 75 corner. That's 5, and they're not done yet. But wait, there's more, and we'll talk about that in the recruiting segment. But yeah, Lamar Morgan is he's our best recruiter. He's a straight up dog. He's the number 3 ranked recruiter in the nation. Lamar, and guess what, boys? Now that I know we're gonna talk about recruiting, but like now that the NIL is where it is, he's gonna be it's gonna be just insane. So yeah, he stays. Can't let him go.
I'm with
Need
you.
a coordinator more than him.
I'm with you. He stays. And I think we might have a similar thought on Grant Newsome potentially. We'll see what you think. The O line coach. It seems it's definitely not been at its best, but I do think, again, just like last year, when early in the season things looked pretty porous, I do think that they've played with they've rolled with the punches, and they've, I'm feeling good. But what do you think about Newsome?
So Newsome is what a lot of he is considered a fast riser, a very strong tactical, strategic coach who is just ahead of his age. They're using him as a project, and at the end of the day, Sharon Moore does specialize in offensive line. This is more of those one of those things where Grant Newsome is really an apprentice to Sharon Moore, and I do think he stays. Now, am I impressed with offensive line play? No, but do I think Michigan did him a disservice by not finding a solution at right tackle? Absolutely, because we knew that was an issue in spring ball. It only transferred into the season, and now we see what we have. But no, in my opinion, Grant Newsome gets one more year, and plus recruiting, Babaloa. 2026 is looking really strong for O-line recruiting. And I know recruiting is not everything. On-field results do matter, but you do have to combine the two. And I think a lot of us would agree, some of these coaches are dealing with positions where the cupboard's a little bare. And this would be one of them. So Grant Newsome
Yep,
stays.
agree. He stays.
Yep.
Lou Esposito D line is tough because how much of Lou Esposito is you have 2 first rounders on your interior D line, and how much of it's coaching. But stay or go for Lou?
Lou's got to stay. Lou's got to stay because this is probably if not tight end, it's the second strongest performing unit in terms of just overall production. And we have seen Josiah Stewart take the next step. We even saw some flashes from TJ Guy. Derek Moore, I'd like to see more out of, but I mean, Rayshawn Benny's had his moments. He's got to stay. Plus, he's a very good recruiter, although even though the defensive line recruiting class is not quite where I'd want it, it needs to be better, quite honestly, but it's still solid. It's a solid class. We did take a hit losing Nate Marshall, but at the end of the day, Lou Esposito, in my opinion, is a net positive for Michigan. He stays. And we have one more, John.
And yes, I agree with you on that. And then strength and conditioning, TJ.
Yeah, so the final coach we need to discuss is the strength and conditioning coach, Justin Tress. This is obviously he took over the program after Herbert left for the Chargers. And in my opinion, John, I think we could do an upgrade here. I think we can do an upgrade here. I think they can do better. I'm not impressed, although I will say, yes, did I see positive weight gain, weight loss at the right positions by the right players in the offseason? Absolutely, which gave me a lot of encouragement. But the way I see this team on the field gassed, the way I see this team on the field at times in terms of mental, fortitude and maybe lack of fortitude, in my opinion, we need a new leader, a new voice in that strength and conditioning room. I think Justin Tress should be replaced, in my opinion.